This video is going to help you to make a clone video using the masking technique. I will go over the 3 steps necessary to complete this project, including recording multi-track audio, shooting each part, and editing the audio and film takes together. For this project, you will need a DAW, a phone, or a camera, and video editing software. This tutorial is designed for Final Cut Pro, which has a specialty draw mask technique. I will be uploading a similar video to make a 2-person clone that can be done on less advanced video editing software soon. And again, just to reiterate, you do need to have a film editing software capable of masking. If you're not sure if your software does, typically a Google search will help you to figure that out. But Final Cut Pro for Mac is currently free for 90 days if you want to try that out. And Adobe Premiere Pro has a 7-day free trial and then is $20 a month. And there are other softwares that have this capability. I would just check before you get too far into this project. For the first step in our project, which is recording our multi-track audio, I highly recommend that you record audio first and then play along with that recording while you film. There are a lot of reasons why we would want to record audio separately, namely the fact that headphones and potentially mics could clutter the shot. If you're using a phone mic, you'll have a lower quality because of the distance between the player and the camera, and you will need to shoot quickly, and we'll get into why later. So the first thing that you're going to want to do is go into Audacity or GarageBand or Logic or whatever it is that you have and record a project using however many tracks it is that you're going to want to end up filming. Here I have a project that I showed you at the beginning. These are my 2 trumpets, 2 trombones. I am going to bounce this down to my desktop, and this is what I'm going to actually play along with when I start filming. So I am going to take that project file and I am going to put it into a project folder where I'm going to store all of the audio and video that I create for this project. Once we have our audio file ready, we are going to start actually setting up to shoot. So the setup that I had for the project that I showed at the very beginning was very simple. I simply had a camera and a couch and me and my instruments. Now, because we're going to be layering eventually multiple films on top of each other, it's imperative that whatever's holding your phone is completely secure. I literally got 3 out of the 4 films taped and then accidentally hit the record button too hard on my stand, and it had to start over from the beginning because you cannot realign your film once your phone has moved. Once you have your camera set up on a stand, the next thing you're going to want to do is make sure that your exposure is locked. I'm sure you've noticed when you move your camera around that it tends to change its exposure levels to try to adjust to whatever's happening. And you want to make sure that your exposure is the same throughout all of the shots that you're about to take. Now, I'm an iPhone user. If you have a different type of phone or camera, this might be different for you, but essentially all you have to do to lock your exposure is click and then hold onto your phone until you see a symbol that says AE lock at the top. At that point, you will need to record all of your takes back to back. If you try to access your camera roll to watch a previous take, it's going to turn that exposure lock off. So at this point, you should have your recording and you should have your camera set up ready to go, and you are literally going to go through and perform each of the parts of your song. So you are going to position yourself on different parts of the screen and perform and play along with your recording each of the parts of the recording itself. And again, just to be clear, we are going to be removing the audio files from all of the videos and only using the audio from the recording. So you should play along with your recording to make it look authentic. It is crucial that you leave space in between each of the U's, because once we actually layer the 4 videos on top of each other, we're going to use a blending technique to ensure that there is a smooth transition between each of the films. Finally, if your room has a lot of natural light, make sure that you film quickly. I did a quick time lapse of the room just to show how much light changes over the course of an hour. So for the sake of continuity between your takes, you're going to want to make sure that the light is fairly consistent. When you're finished, you should have however many recordings of video that you did, along with the audio recording that you played along with for all of the takes. So there's a lot that happened in that step. I'm going to leave this up here just to kind of recap everything that happened in step 2 before we go on to step 3, which is putting the audio and the video together into a clone video. So once you have the audio and video files ready, it's time to combine them into whatever your video editing software is. for you to put together the final product. And again, I'm going to be using Final Cut Pro. I know that Adobe Premiere Pro also has this capability, and it's really going to just depend on the software that you're using. If your software does not have masking, you'll want to look out for my next video, which should come out hopefully in the next couple of days, that will show you how to do this kind of idea in a less robust software that will allow you to put two recordings side by side. So from this point forward, I'm going to do as much of this in one take as possible. So we are going to want to open up Final Cut Pro so we can combine all of our video and audio together. And again, as of today's recording, which is April 21st, Final Cut Pro is free to download for 90 days if you have a Mac. So what we are going to want to do is create a new project, which we will call My Performance. And inside of that project, we are going to want to create a new event. And an event essentially is where you can store all of the audio and video that you have recorded. So we will say My Recordings. And the next thing that we're going to have is a prompt to import media. And all we are going to have to do is go to that file folder that we created, highlight all of the files, click and drag them into Final Cut. And you will see that between April 16th and 17th, I recorded the audio and the video for this project. So my audio is right here. If I click on this and drag it into the timeline, you will see that it shows up. And if I click the space bar, it's going to start playing my audio. So the first thing that we're going to want to do is have all of the videos that were taken line up with the audio itself. So I'm going to take my first video right here. I am going to drag it into my timeline. And obviously, you're going to have the same experience where you're going to have all of this preemptive stuff before you actually start playing. So what you're going to try to figure out is where the starting point is in your piece. And I tried to have a little bit of a visual nod of where I started playing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to back up a little bit. I'm going to push the space bar, and I'm going to try to stop it as close to where I start playing as I can. Okay, so right there is about where I start playing. So I am going to take my cursor, and you'll see that I can trim back the video, and I am going to move it to the front of the project. And I'm going to zoom in by doing a like a reverse pinch motion. And what you'll see is that there are waveforms that correspond with the video and the audio. Now, if I push space, I should be able to see if my video and audio line up. Let's watch that one more time. It looks like I cut too much out, so I'm going to move this down a little bit, and I'm going to move that, and let's see if this is a little better. That looks good to me. So if I zoom back out here, what I'm now going to do is I'm going to remove the audio from my video track. So now all I'm going to be hearing is the audio, and I want to see if this visually looks okay. Now, it is a little bit jumpy right now just because my computer is doing a lot. However, I think that that's good. Obviously, you can take your time and figure out if that's exactly where it needs to go. So I'm going to do that with my next clip right here. Now, one thing you're going to want to do is make sure that the topmost clip is the one that will be displayed. So in other words, I'm going to put this above the clip that I just lined up. And you'll see that I once again have myself getting ready. And I think I start right around here. So I'm going to push play, and I'm going to see if I can visually see where I start playing trombone here. Right there is about where I start playing. So I'm going to once again clip back. I'm going to move it to the front. I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to make sure that my waveforms line up. So if I move this back a little bit, let's see if this visually looks like I am playing in time here. Yes, okay. So that looks pretty good to me. So now what you're going to do is you will then drag in your third clip, you're going to drag in your fourth clip, and make sure that each of them are in time so that you will have your first clip here, your second clip, you'll add your third clip, and then your fourth clip. I'm going to fast forward time a little bit and get to the point where I have all of my clips lined up in time, and then we'll talk about how to start doing the masking technique. All right, so I have my audio file here. I have all 4 of my video files lined up so that when they play, they are completely lined up with the music itself, so it looks like I am playing exactly in time. So now it's time to make this look like a cloned video. First of all, I'm going to open up my inspector tab in the top right-hand corner, and I am going to open up the effects window, and this is where we are going to get to our masking effect that is going to allow us to do what we need to do. So if you scroll through the video effects, you click on masks, you'll see that there's an option called draw mask. I am going to click on this and I'm going to drag it onto my top video. Now when I click on that video file, you'll see that it says click to add a control point. So what I'm going to do is I am literally going to draw around myself. And this is essentially going to make a cutout of me so that when I go to, when I kind of cut everything away, it's going to look like I am with the next video down, if that makes sense. So as soon as I do that, you see that immediately a new me appears. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adjust this around the couch a little bit. I find that that helps kind of make it look good. And again, you'll see that immediately there's 2 of me. So I'm just going to adjust these points here. Now, another thing that you'll notice is that there is a little bit of a roughness between the 2 sides. Now, one way that you can help to fix that is you can feather. And essentially what that does is it blends the 2 masks together. Now, this isn't going to be fully in effect until all of the masks are drawn, but for now, I am going to do a complete feather out. And again, you'll see that there's this nice, it's a much softer line between the 2 masks currently. So now there's 2 of me. So I'm going to literally go down the line and apply that to the next layer. And I'm going to draw a point around that. Now I found that it's also helpful to, take advantage of really natural breaks like in between the couch cushions. It helps just make it a little bit smoother. So I'm going to draw around. I'm going to go around the couch again. And I'm actually going to go this way this time. And I'm going to connect on the other side. And boom, another one of me appears. And just for the sake of time, I'm not going to fine tune these too much, but I am going to feather this out. And again, you see that there's a nice transition between each of the masks. Then I'm going to go and do it a third time. And I click on that. Hello, there we go. So I'm going to add a control point. And I'm going to draw around this me. And again, I'm kind of going fast here just because I think you get the point by now. But I am going to go down the couch cushions like so. And there's the fourth me. And again, I'm going to drag these points down so I make sure my legs don't get cut off. I am going to feather this as well. And again, you see that it helps to just blend between the different sides. Now, obviously, you're going to want to go through. I did kind of a sloppy job just to make sure that I was quick to show you how to do this. But make sure that you really are careful with those control points, making sure that it looks as good as possible. So now when I push play, so I'm going to click up here to export. I'm going to export it to Apple devices 1080p. And then I have a finished project. So that's pretty much everything. I hope that this was informative. I hope that it's not too overwhelming. Again, just make sure that you get a really good high quality audio recording. You play along with it in each of your positions, and then you go into Final Cut Pro and you edit it all together to make your final product. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please like and subscribe, as the cool kids say, and thanks a lot.